How's it going? I'm Mitchell616 and welcome to the channel. If you like the content, please feel free to like and subscribe and leave me a comment to help support the video. This is a full comprehensive guide looking at the contested zones and executive hangars. This video is a bit longer than usual, so please use the timestamps in the description to find what you need. Now, let's launch to what matters. Now, to accomplish this, you only need a basic loadout of your weapon of choice, plenty of ammo, a medical gun, and a handful of fuses. We're going to start by heading to the PM Supervisor Stations, where you can obtain your Supervisor Authorization red key cards that are needed for the Checkmate and Obituary contested zones. Now, when you approach to the Supervisor Stations, you do need to watch out for mounted turrets, but I recommend to get as close as possible to the facility, trying to park up somewhere behind the turrets where they can't shoot you. This will ensure the least amount of EVA time to get to the door. If you make your way to the big built-up section, the airlock that you're looking for is usually to the left or the right of that. And if you do have a bigger ship like an Idris or a Polaris, on your approach you can take down the turrets and then park right outside the airlock, making for easy access in and out. Once inside the Supervisor Station, you want to cycle the airlock and head across the bridge to the doorway at the far side. Then you want to take a left and head under the stairs, taking a right through the little entranceway. Then you're going to turn left and left again, going through the doorway that's marked internal transit. Now you do need to be careful, as there will more than likely be a section of NPC guards. Once you've dealt with the NPCs, you want to carry on to the end of the corridor, turning right and heading towards your first locked door. To get past this door, you will need to use one of the fuses. As you can see, Big's inserting here. Once you get through the door, you can go either left or right. I do like to take the left path and make my way all the way around, just checking out for any players that might be looking to third party. Now, you're looking for some stacked up boxes along one of the walls. You're going to climb up the boxes and then turn around 180 degrees and jump over the gap. Then you're going to turn to your left and jump up the ledge, walking down the corridor and then dropping down near all the pipework on your right hand side. Follow the corridor around and this will bring you to the Supervisor Authorization keycard printer, where you can obtain your first red keycard. Now all that's left is to get back to your ship. You can do this by heading to your left hand side and dropping down a little ventilation shaft. If you follow this around, this will bring you out to a small opening where at the far side there is a ladder to climb up. Once you're at the top of the ladder, you have two choices. You can go through the maintenance elevator that is labelled Nowhere Back, which will take you to an airlock back out into space. Or if you manage to park near the entrance, you can head back through the station and out the way you came. Ruin Station, to get comp boards 5 and 6. To acquire these, you need to gain access to the vault within Ruin Station. Now the vault works a little bit differently. Every 20 minutes, the vault opens, and it stays open for 2 to 3 minutes before closing again. So bear that in mind when you're heading into the Ruin contested zone. In the contested zone, there are two entrances, entrance A and entrance B. Both entrances will lead you to the door that you can see in the video. Now once you're here, you want to head straight forward to the end of the corridor, turning right, bringing you out into the main room of the Ruin contested zone. I would recommend sticking to the edges and starting with the right hand side and then making your way all the way around the room to the left hand side. Now your first door that you will need a fuse for is to enter the last resort. This is to obtain your first key card that you will use inside the vault. Just a little tip. Once you've inserted a fuse into a door, you can remove it quickly once the door is opened, to then reuse it later. Once you're through the door, you want to head down the corridor, jump in the gap, and head to the end where you will take a left turn. Heading through the doorway with the Ghost Arena label above. Once you're in this room, you can either turn right to extract for whatever reason, or you can carry on straight forward to obtain your keycard. Once you reach the end of the corridor, there's an NPC spawn point to your right hand side. And to your left hand side, there will also be enemy NPCs, so make sure you're prepared. Once you've dealt with those, take the right hand turn, head down the corridor. There may be some more NPCs at the end, so deal with them. Go to the end of that corridor, turn right again, and then you'll see the keycard printer sat in the middle of the room to obtain your first keycard. Once you've obtained this, you can then head back to the main room. Once you've found your way back to the door, open the door, watching out for any players or NPCs that might be about. You want to make your way around to the crypt. Now to do that, there is a ventilation shaft to the right hand side just as you come out of the last resort doorway, or you can follow the pathway that I decided to take on screen. Once you reach the crypt doorway, the same applies. Enter the fuse, the door will open, pull your fuse out if you want to use it again at a later date, and then head inside. Now you have two options, you can go left or you can go right. I like to go left, minding my step around the big hole in the middle of the floor, heading to the end of the corridor, and then heading through the big yellow doors. Once through the yellow doors, head across the bridge to the far side, and into the next room where you will see the keycard printer over to your left hand side, where you can obtain your Crypt keycard. Once you have this, you can turn around and head all the way back to the main room. Once you get back to the entrance to the crypt and you're opening the door, watch out for any players or NPCs. You're going to do the same again. You're going to head to your right hand side, making your way towards the Wasteland, where you can obtain your third and final keycard. By this point, you know what to do when you reach the door. Enter your fuse, the door will open, and retrieve your fuse before the door closes again. Now once inside the Wasteland, you're going to head all the way to the far end of the corridor. You're going to turn left, take your first right. Now here you can turn left and extract, or you can carry on, turn right, and turn left through the opening into the trash room. Now you're going to go down the ramp and all the way across the trash room to the far side, entering the next room and taking the right pathway. There will be some NPCs to deal with that spawn on your right hand side in the elevator. Once you've dealt with them, keep following the path round and this will take you to your third and final keycard printer. Once you've obtained this, you can head back to the main room and now we can deal with the vault. Now at the time of recording, the sign above the vault said vault closed, but the door was open. I believe that the door was stuck open. Now as you enter the vault, there's a bridge. On that bridge, it's the perfect place to stand guard while somebody else can grab the comp boards and components that are inside. If the bridge is clear, you want to make your way all the way across to the far side, taking the right hand turn at the end. And if the coast is clear, you can carry on all the way across to the loot rooms at the end. Now to obtain comp board number 5, you're looking for the room with the green X on the door. And only one of your keycards will fit the door. So you will need to use your Crypt keycard, enter it into the door will open, allowing you access to the room. Now, one tip, always close the door behind you. Make sure that somebody is always closing the door behind you or watching that door. Once you're inside and all sorted, you can use the maintenance fabricator to fabricate the number 5 comp board, and then we can move on to comp board number 6. As you exit this room and start to make your way back out of the vault, you'll see a couple of small stacked containers. You want to climb up onto these, then turning to your left and jumping onto the few loose pieces of metal hanging in the centre of the room, turning right and then jumping over to the beams. Now you don't need to sprint at any point, they're all quite simple jumps. Once you're up on the catwalk, you want to follow this around and you'll see the maintenance fabricator that houses comp board number 6. If there's a team of you, I would recommend that the person holding the comp board now extracts, and then anybody who's left behind can then start working on components and the other 2 doors. Once you've obtained this, you can then drop down to the lower level by turning to your right hand side, and right in front of you should be the extraction elevator for the ruin station. Obituary Station. So Obituary has 3 access points, A, B and C. Personally, I prefer access point A and access point B. The only reason for this is it's less of a distance from the moment you enter the CZ to the moment that you're in the room where all 3 paths join. So first of all, you want to head straight for the door that needs a fuse. Enter your fuse, the door will open, pull your fuse out. Then you're going to jump over the gap and keep moving forward in a straight line with access points A and B. It's a straight shot all the way through until you come to the main room. There may be NPCs that you need to deal with on the way, and there are a few sneaky spots for players to hide if they are waiting for you. Once you get to the broken doors, you want to vault through the doors and make your way down the staircase to your left hand side, watching for any NPCs down to your left hand side or from the elevator on your right hand side. Now you're at your first red door, and you want to use the Supervisor Access keycard that we obtained earlier. Once through the red door, you want to head to the end of the corridor and through the door next to the Xeno sign. Once through this doorway, you're going to turn left and head down the staircase. There will be some NPCs to deal with as you head down the staircase, so watch out for those. But you're heading towards the big yellow door on your left hand side. Once through that doorway, you want to head straight across this room and into the medical clinic where you will see the blue keycard printer. You gain access to this by jumping over the counter. Be careful though, because this is a very common spot for other players to sit and hide and wait for you.
Keycard.
Once you've obtained your keycard, you want to hop over the counter and start heading back. But this time you're going to go through the door on your left hand side. This door requires a fuse to operate. Once through that door, you want to head down the corridor and you're looking for the little green arrow which is pointing up towards the ventilation shaft. You're going to go through the ventilation shaft into the EVA area and you're going to head all the way down to the bottom to where you see the green sign and then go through the next ventilation shaft. In this room there will be some NPCs. They look like civilians but they will shoot you. Once you've dealt with those, you want to head to the very far side and enter the medical rooms, where you will be able to see the maintenance fabricator where you can get comp board number 4. Once you've obtained this, you can then head back out the way you came, back through the ventilation shaft and then back up top. Once you're out of the ventilation shaft, you want to turn to your right, head straight forward and go back through the fuse door that you entered through previously. Once you're back in that room, you're going to take the door to your left, which will lead you back out into the open space. Now, some NPCs could have respawned by now, so you might have a bit of a fight on your hands. So deal with them before you move on. Now, once you've dealt with them, you want to move straight forward, staying on the same floor that you're on, but heading underneath the catwalk, looking to your left to see your next fuse door. At the time of recording, this door was stuck open, but usually it's not like this. Once you've made it through the door, you want to head to the far side of the room, heading over the bridge and through the yellow doors. You're going to deal with any NPCs that may be around in this room and search the outside walls for the big blue door. Once you've found the blue door, you're going to enter the blue keycard that we found earlier in the med bay. And this door will give you access to the food court. This section is usually filled with NPCs and is one of the harder sections of the Obituary contested zone. As you push through the doorway and down the corridor, you want to turn to your left. There will be NPCs that you need to deal with before you can move on. Once you've dealt with those NPCs, you're going to run straight forward and you're going to come to a balcony. Now, across from you, there might be a couple of NPCs. It's worth taking them out now. Once you've dealt with those NPCs, you want to drop down to the lower level, making your way forward and then turning left into the small elevator to go and collect your second blue keycard. Once you've got your second blue keycard, you want to head back down the elevator and take your first left. Keep moving around until you find your second blue door. Insert your keycard into the door, and then once the doors have opened, head to the far end of the room, and you'll find an elevator which will take you down to Hangar 30, where you will get comp board number 7. Now, once inside Hangar number 30, it's going to be filled with NPCs, and there are multiple spawn points down each side, consisting of numerous elevators. Once you're in the room, you want to run to your right-hand side and stick by the right-hand side wall, following that wall down all the way and turning right just after the big red light. Run past the containers, then on your left-hand side you'll see the maintenance fabricator. And collect comp board number 7. Once you've collected that, head back out of the containers and you want to head directly to the opposite side of the room where the extraction elevator will be. Be careful because there may be NPCs or other players lurking about, waiting to take you out to steal the comp board. Checkmate Station. So once you get to Checkmate Station, there's 2 entrances into the contested zone. Access A and Access B, both of which lead you out to the same main room within the contested zone. Once you enter the contested zone and you do the airlock cycle, you want to deal with any NPCs, whilst making your way in a straight line until you get to the big door that needs a fuse. And I hope you know what to do by now. Enter your fuse into the door. As the door opens, remove your fuse, then you can move on, just like you see Tank doing here. Once you've made your way through that door, you're going to keep moving forward, through this room and through the next set of double doors. Once you get through those double doors, you are now in the main room of the Checkmate contested zone. You're going to deal with any NPCs that you come across, and there's a chance that you could get a few Corpions. From here, you're going to turn right and head to the far end of the room, and you're going to come to another door that needs another fuse. Once the door's open and you've made your way through, deal with any NPCs. There will be some towards the right-hand side, and then you want to make your way around the right-hand side through the little doorway that's under the staircase, making your way round to the left, and then taking your first right. Again, you're going to want to deal with any NPCs that you find along the way, while making your way up through the left-hand side of the room that leads towards the big blue door, but you're going to turn right before you get to the blue door, and you're going to follow the corridors all the way down until you find your next group of NPCs. Once you've dealt with the NPCs, you're going to turn right and you'll see the blue keycard printer at the end of the hall in the opening. Now be careful because there will be NPCs about hiding behind things. Once you've obtained the blue keycard, you're going to head all the way back to the main room where you entered the fuse into the doorway. The NPCs may have respawned, so come through that doorway slowly. Once you've dealt with any NPCs, you want to head up the staircase on your left-hand side, turning right up the staircase again, and then going through the red door on your left-hand side. Once you're through the red door, make sure you close it behind you. And then carry on moving down the corridor. The elevator behind the counter is an NPC spawn point, so be careful. And to your left-hand side, there's usually 2 or 3 NPCs behind cover. Once you've dealt with these, you're going to turn left and then carry on down the corridor. Keep moving forward until you come to another rubbish room. You're going to drop down and head straight across, going through the double yellow doors. Once through the double yellow doors, you're going to head all the way down to the end of the corridor, where you'll come to an opening. On your left-hand side of the opening will be an NPC spawn, where the enemies will just keep respawning. Eventually they will stop, but it's worth trying to take them out and move at the same time. Otherwise you could be stood there quite a while and use quite a bit of ammo. You want to follow the path on your right-hand side through the little doorway. Once you're through that doorway, there's going to be more NPCs and more Corpions. Stay behind cover and deal with these. Once you've dealt with all the NPCs, you're going to want to turn left and look for the little green arrow. That's going to take you to a gate where you need to insert another fuse. This will activate the gate, allowing you to pass through to the staircase. You want to go up the stairs, turn back on yourself and up the second set of stairs, dealing with any NPCs that might be in your way. Then you want to head straight forward across the bridge, along the catwalk, up the little ramp, and then turn into your left-hand side. Make your way through there, where you will come to an opening where you'll have more NPCs to deal with a staircase at the far end of the room. Once you've dealt with the NPCs, you're going to make your way down the staircase, and this will take you to your next comp board. Once you've collected the comp board, you're going to turn around and make your way back up the staircase. This time you're going to turn right and follow the corridor around, all the way until you come to the big blue door. Once you get to the big blue door, insert your blue key card, the door will open, make your way through. Then you head in to the far end of the room where you will find the elevator to take you to your last 2 comp boards. Once in the elevator, you head into the observation deck. And when you come out of the elevator, you want to head around to your left-hand side. I like to go right just in case there's any players hanging about, but it's personal choice. Once you've made it all the way around, you're going to carry on down the path, and there will be some NPCs for you to take out. Once you've taken them out, you're looking for a small gap in the fence to your left-hand side. Once you're through there, there's a small gap that you've got to jump over, and then you need to drop down. Once you've dropped down, you're going to follow the green arrows, which will lead you to your next comp board, which is comp board number 3. Hit the button on the maintenance fabricator to start the process, and then collect your comp board. Once you've collected this, you're going to head to your left-hand side and follow the tunnel all the way around to your next and final comp board. This is usually where NPCs start to come after you. You can use the maintenance fabricator for cover if needed. Once you've dealt with the NPCs and collected your comp board, you're going to carry on down the same path, heading to where the NPCs were coming from and making your way up the stairs. Once at the top of the stairs, you're going to turn left and then turn right, and you will see the maintenance elevator that you can use for extraction. Now it's almost time to head to the executive hangar. The hangars are on a global timer. I will link a website into the description so you can plan ahead to when the hangars will be open. Now you've got all your comp boards, it's time to head to the executive hangars. So on your star chart, you're looking for PYAM-X hang. The easiest way to find this is zoom into the sun of Pyro, zoom out ever so slightly, and it's the first jump point you'll see. On your approach to the executive hangars, you will see a lot of ships parked outside, and there are turrets on the hangars. But unlike most others, these ones shouldn't attack you unless you have a crime start or unless you start shooting another player's ship. Just like you did with the Supervisor Station, get as close as you can to the airlock, park your ship, and then move over to the airlock. A good strategy is to leave your comp boards on your ship until you've been into the executive hangar and made sure that everything's clear before you then take them in. You wouldn't want to do all this work just for somebody to take them off you. Once you're inside the executive hangar, hit the airlock. Once the cycle's done, you're going to make your way around through either left or right until you come to the big EVA room. Once you're in the big EVA room, you're looking for the green X's like the one on screen, and this will show you where you need to enter your comp boards. I would recommend having someone guard the main airlock while you do these steps, just in case anybody else tries to come in. Once you've entered all 7 comp boards, the big red door at the end of the corridor will open. Head down that corridor and head into the elevator, and this will take you to your executive hangar where you can go and claim your ship and the other components that are lying about. If you're still watching, thank you for watching all the way to the end. I'm Mitchell616, and I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff, as it will really help the channel grow and allow me to produce other content for you all to enjoy. And I hope that you get the ship that you were after, unlike myself. So good luck, and I'll see you in the verse. Bye for now.